Good afternoon. My name's Lawrence Levy. I'm the co-custodian and chairman of St Albans City Football Club. Welcome to Fan Podcast. We're here to specifically talk about the worst kept secret in St Albans and the fact that the club has been looking to relocate, as it needs to relocate for a number of reasons, of which hopefully we'll discuss today. I'm joined today by three key members of my team, of the club's team. I've got Charlie Boswell, who is our head of academy, but also he runs our community projects, so he's employed by our foundation, so he works in a lot of the programs that we're doing within the community, whether it's schools or other projects that we're doing. I've got Gary McCann here, who is men's first team manager, and who's been with us a few weeks now. And he'll talk to you a little bit about, or talk to me a little bit about why he joined us. And I've got Anthony here, who is the women's manager and has been with the club a number of years now. Anthony Gosling, who's been with us a number of years. So welcome, guys. Nice to see you.
Good to be here.
Be open. I mean, you know as much about anyone else about this project. It's the worst kept secret in St Albans. It's something we've been talking about for years. This is all about engaging you, members of the club, but more importantly, our fan base and wider supporters and sponsors into why we're looking to relocate, where we're looking to relocate, how we're looking to relocate. So please do fire some questions. Just one last thing, just so that we know the reason for a podcast. This is just the first thing that we're doing to promote what we're trying to do. We are looking to have other forums as well to promote this. We will be doing a regular podcast. When I say regular, it's not weekly, but when we've got something to announce, just so that you know, and you'll all be here on the 27th, our game on the Saturday, we will be having a pop-up here. So we will be having a pop-up that allows the supporters to come in, register their interest, because this is about bringing everyone with us and being involved in the club. We want everyone involved. It's important for the whole community and our fan base to be involved. And there's going to be lots of challenging questions from you guys and from external, but please do feel free to ask them. We will be, just for your information, launching a website. I'll mention it at the end, and it's St Albans City FC Stadium.com, which is where we will give updates of anything going on with the planning process and what it means and everything like that. So I just thought I'd mention that. I'd like this conversation to be transparent. I don't want me to be running it. I want you to question me. This is nothing about presenting, selling anything. This is about you guys asking some of the questions that no doubt people out there will ask as well. So yeah, you can be controversial. It's about transparency. So let's start.
Well, myself, I mean, I've obviously only just come into the building and part of this, special football club. Part of the reasoning for coming in was obviously what was presented to me, that where the ambition is of the football club and where they wanted to take the football club over the coming years. And I was very excited and very much attached to it immediately, Lawrence, on the first meet we had. But obviously it's at its infancy, it's at the early stages, and me personally, I'm looking forward to being part of that journey. That journey, I'm sure, is going to have one or two bumps in the road. It's like, changing people's perception and what they're familiar with, and getting fans and everyone aligned. I want to make everyone aware that it's going to be a journey that that we all need to try and align to. I think any change, if you go right up to the top pyramid, if you look at your Arsenals or your Manchester Cities or the clubs that have ended up moving stadiums and moving into new venues, they've had some fans and people buck up against them on their journey. But look at where these clubs are now. That is an example for most to see that when there is change to be had, not too many people like change. They become familiar with with their surroundings, and trying to get people all to align is going to be our biggest challenge.
Yeah.
But I want to be part of that, Lawrence. So I want to be as open as I can and make everyone aware that there's not anyone within inside the football club, be it from a playing perspective or from a management perspective, that don't want to be part of a new stadium. I think it's definitely something that excites me. Obviously the benefits of what it brings is pretty straightforward for me in regards to how easy it will be to recruit on the back of a new stadium, and the ambition of the football club.
You're talking about playing.
Yeah, of course. Because that's that is mine as much as it's a broader picture from a playing perspective. It's gonna generate an easier, a lot of interest and a lot of an easier process on recruitment. But it's everything else it brings to the football club which is important. I think what it engages within the community, and what the hub that the football club that it becomes will definitely benefit the area. I mean, the romance of Clarence Park is there for all to see, but it is a little dated, and it is a little older in appearance, and a new stadium is the way forward. But as I've just said, there's, I'm sure, some obstacles and challenges to overcome. But
and we could talk about those as well.
Yeah,
talk about the challenges, where we've got to, how we're doing. I mean, what does it feel to you, Anthony? The idea. I mean, how different will it be for you?
I think from my point of view, from being a resident of St Albans my whole life to being an employee for the last 6 years and a fan for as long as I can remember, football's a big part of my life, and it's a big part of this city as well. We look at what happens on a Saturday and Sunday in the surrounding roads leading into Clarence Park. They're busy, there's a buzz, the atmosphere at the games it shows how important it is, and what we need now is a vehicle to kick on this community and this football club, and that being a stadium, being a new home. As we've already touched on here, Clarence Park, for me personally and as a club, holds a lot of fond memories from FA Cup games, the women's first home game for the club, a lot of big key milestones. But again, we need to elevate ourselves as a football club. We are where we are, and we've been there for a while now. But again, things with a new home, with a new stadium, something that's a little bit more sustainable and a little bit more effective for our fans. If I look from my personal point of view with the women's team, and I know we're going to touch on it further, but the stadium's not adequate right now for female fans, female players, and female staff. Again, the stadium was set up for the way it has been for male players. Yeah, and we understand that these things happen, but with yourself and John, we've been able to move the club forward, and now we're in our third season with the women's team, and we need support from the fans, from the club as well, on how we can elevate our successes and with what we're working with. But again, I think if we look at the players and the fans in particular, it's not a super comfortable environment for females. It's something that we're obviously looking to change and plan.
It's growing.
Yeah, and the women's game's growing, I think, due to the success of the Lionesses. And if I look in particular, is that what we're now offering as a football club is a lot of dads will bring their sons to their first game on a Saturday, for example, because that's what they did with their fathers. Whereas now we're seeing little girls with their fathers and mums coming on Sunday because it's their first ever women's game. And it's now trying to bridge that gap and hopefully increase the engagement. It will hopefully give Charlie more projects to work on, and we can get more people through the door on a Sunday as well as a Saturday. But for a lot of these children coming to St Albans City game is their first experience of football. What better to do than a brand new stadium that's hopefully here forever.
All
better, safe, supporting environment.
It's also, you say forever. I mean, the idea is this stadium is held in trust. The trustees are the local authority, but and we get a license every 5 years, so we're unable to invest in the club because it doesn't have a proper. Although it is the home of St Albans City, it really is. It's not secure and safe forever, which a new stadium would really secure or give the whole club security forever, in perpetuity. That's what we're looking to do. I mean, what does it mean to you, Charlie, with regards to our community projects?
Yeah, no, I think the word that kept coming up from when Anthony was speaking was fan engagement. And for me, fan engagement is our community. within our community projects that we already run. We run 19 projects for people as young as 5 up to the ages of 50 plus. We oversee participation for over 350 participants within our community, within the St Albans district each week. These are all people that will attend our games, both the men's and the women's fixtures on a Saturday and Sunday, and really create a buzz about the place. Going with my other hat now of the academy, these are young fans who are watching Gary and Anthony lead the team to the direction they lead them. They aspire to be the next player playing for these. And recently we've had players come through with both the male first team and the female first team.
We have.
And that's a brilliant advocate of what we're trying to do as a whole community and a whole club here at St Albans City Football Club.
I think that's really important what you've just touched on there, because when there is a community hub to work from, where the training venue becomes personal, it becomes your own, which is what we're looking to present here. This isn't just about building the stadium. You know, what you've presented to me is the 2 training pitches that are going to run alongside that. Well, when you're trying to engage first team players and first team management into that community, you know, what better way is there than there to be a training venue that's personal, that's on site, that can happen organically. Yeah. And that is something that I think is so important. I think, you know, engaging right from young. I mean, some of these kids, what we want these kids to be at 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, we want them to have their stars in the first team, as much as they've got them in the Premier League. What better way than our first team players being able to engage in their training sessions, you know, go and view, go and be part of it, and include them in our own as well, because anyone that's training, you know how these training hubs work. Of course, the long-term objectives is, can we become a full-time club and be a morning training club?
Yeah.
That is something we discussed, Lawrence, but initially it'd be evenings. Well, they can be watching our training sessions, so it won't only become match days on a Saturday. Training nights will become interested as well, and again, that's just going to bring everyone together. Be it parents, be it youth, be it coaches as well. Bringing all the coaches together, having the same base to work from. It becomes personal. At the moment, we're all at different venues and we're all different places, and bringing that together is just a match day experience at the moment. That will change once we've got a hub in place.
On that point, Gary, and on that point there it's that sense of belonging, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's our own. So where suddenly we take the under 14 boys, for example, or the under 14 girls, they can be walking through the corridors to the change rooms and they're seeing other academy graduates who have played for the first teams. I think generally that's rather than being there, it's that sense of belonging of, those walls will be our walls. They will say what we believe in, and there's that sense of community, that engagement, and that belonging. And then suddenly it's that personal connection from maybe a boy or girl signing for us at 12s or 13s, and suddenly they can really see that pathway all the way up to the men's and the women's teams. And it's suddenly then creating that actually that jump isn't as high as they think it might be as such, and it's bringing a level of connection and a sense of belonging together, that we're all a part of this football club. It doesn't matter what team you are, it's a part of it.
Just quickly, if you don't mind me jumping on. No, do. I think something to be conscious of is this is at the moment the home of many fans, right? For St Albans, it's not to say that, you know, this isn't the home for the meantime. It's having that sense of excitement of going into a new place where, you know, you'll have people as young as 5 coming to deliver on our community projects, and then their pathway could be becoming a coach for us. It provides more resources, it provides more opportunities, but furthermore than that same person who used to come through the gates to Saturday soccer school, you know, at 5 years old in the morning, then, you know, 30 years down the line now, that's their home.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we haven't touched on yet is we're talking on the fact that this would be great. There is no doubt in my mind it would be great for the community to have a modern, sustainable facility. What we haven't touched on is why, and why not here. And I think that's an important thing to touch on, why. And it's something I didn't realise before we took over the club in 2011, what Clarence Park really is, the fact that the land is in trust. As I alluded to earlier, in the fact that we're in our clubhouse, which is one of our two spaces that we can use to generate income. So it means we're not competitive at times because we can't have weddings, we can't have banqueting, we can't do all the sorts of things that many clubs at our level, and dare I say below as well as above, can do. So the thing about it is, for the long-term security, we need to be able to generate far more income.
Of course.
Because with far more income, you can employ more people in community projects. With far more income, you can put more budget to the first teams as well to create an environment. And so what we don't have is I mean, for me personally, I live about half an hour's walk from here. So from a location point of view, it's great. But I think our land here is about 2.9 acres. There's another football club up the road at a similar level, and they've got 4.5, 5 acres where that they own. We don't have that, and we don't have that possibility here. So I think for the economic security of the football club, as well as the environmental security of the football club, because it's an old stand, it's an old stadium. You mentioned the romance of Clarence Park. It's great.
Yeah.
But the reality is we've tried everything to see what you can do here, and as it's in trust, you can't actually do the things you want to do with it anyway.
Well, it's logical progression for me. I think, like what you just said about the romantic feel, it's the romantics that we're going to have the biggest challenge with to get on board. I think the fans that have been very much part of the fabric of this football club for many, many years, there'll be the challenges. But you've just said about the income. Of course, there's an income revenue to be had, but there's also an expenditure to be saved as well.
Yeah.
We've just touched on it in terms of training facilities. The costs for training facilities now are through the roof because there's such a demand. Football being, again, so inclusive to everyone now. Venues are so difficult to come by. All of a sudden we will. The plan is to have our own training venue, our own training hub. That in itself will again, the finances that are involved there will again, help.
Yeah.
All causes within the football club to grow. And
Yeah.
as I say, it does feel like the natural progression of the football club, and true progression if we want to be successful. Lawrence, we spoke about in our first meeting. How do we get ourselves back to where this club has been over the course of the time? Well, there is some bits that need to definitely be addressed on the pitch. Like you said, it's to make a club that's a little more sustainable. And, and I think, all of this coming together in a perfect hub will see the club grow on all fronts. You just said as well, about the amount of community and academy players, and well, that is just going to continue to grow once the natural progression of a move into a new stadium, the new fans and new attachment to the club will be huge, and everything will grow and benefit from it.
Well, I think Anthony made a really good point earlier about the infrastructure of Clarence Park not suiting women's football in the first team. So,
And again, from a employee and as a fan's point of view in the past, is that all my romantic side of Clarence Park is the memories I had with the people I went with, but also what I watched on the pitch. I saw the people. That's not necessarily the stadium itself, but the park holds those memories for me, but it's the people I did it with. We still want to continue those things. This stadium is going to be for the community, it's going to be for the people, it's going to be for the fans, it's going to be for the players. So for us, it's about putting people first, which we have done with everything you've spoken about already, Lawrence, and what you're going to speak about. And it's creating those new memories in an environment that allows everyone else to grow.
It's just got such an old-fashioned feel about this football club. That's what makes it so romantic. But it's if we truly want to move things forward and we want to come in line. I mean, we spoke, didn't we, about medical and referees, changing rooms, girls. You've just touched on it. It's really important.
Well, I mean, I don't know, but I spoke to someone from the ground grade who did all the ground grading, and they're trying to with the National League, with the 3 Up campaign to align itself with the EFL. How long is it going to be before the requirements of a National League club will need to be the same as an EFL club, and we already know that we could not go into the EFL
with where we're at.
No. So will that mean that will stop us? I mean, not at the moment, but will it stop us from going into the National League in years to come as well, which is sadly 2 divisions away from where we are, and that's what we want to get back to.
That's what we're pushing for.
That's what we want. So, I mean, one of the things that, I mean, you were talking about the challenges. What are the challenges going to be?
Well, I think the romantics are going to be the biggest challenge. I think that is, look, there's lots of planning challenges that, you know, I'm sure the planning team are very much aware of. That is something that's sort of out of our domain, but from a football perspective, and I talk football perspective, I think the people on the internal working operation of the football club and the playing staff and the academies and the ladies and the community and everyone will all want the change, but there'll be, you know, a fair bunch of fans that will buck up against it, that will, you know, will create a bit of noise, and they're the ones I think that we need, that need to truly be, you know, I'd say sort of enlightened of exactly where, you know, where we're at and the need and the, you know, the requirements that are needed at football level, and, you know, and fan base level as well. You touched on it as well. The stadium has memories for everyone, but it's up to us to create new memories, and the new memories hopefully will be a venue that we can all be proud of, truly proud of, you know. But the challenges for me, I think, there's clear planning challenges, which I'm sure you'll touch on a little more. But you know, from a fan base, as I've just said, I said it earlier, I think change is not for everyone, and that's just a societal issue more than it is a St Albans issue, you know.
But there's also logistics things which we've got to look at. I mean, how do we get people to a new stadium?
Yeah,
these are the sorts of things that we've
said it to you. We're surrounded by 2 really local train stations, and there'll be the challenges as well. You know, getting the commute, because there is an older fan base, and I'm sure that is in motion, is it not?
Yeah. Well, just to touch on that, part of the planning process, and I'll touch on where we are with the planning. I mean, some people out there and some will know that this has been a lifelong, since taking over the club 14 years ago, when we recognised and presented to St Albans District Council in, I think, October or November of 2011, the sustainability problems with this location. This has been a kind of a mission to try and create the long-term security. But the thing about it is, and with regards to the planning, we will have to put in a transport plan. So how do you get people to the new location? What mode? What sustainable mode? So there are a number of different things. There's car mode, there's public transport, there's walking, cycling. So that will be all put into a plan, as well as the numbers of traffic and those sorts of things. So it could include shuttle bus services. It could include, there would be car mode. So there needs to be enough car parking as well, to a sustainable level. You can't just have thousands of people in cars, because you need to have a sustainable transport. There is a bus link already that we would look to increase to where we're going to be, and the difficulty is that's the transport consultants. That's what they're there to do. They're highways and transports. They do all the numbers. They tell us what's acceptable. I mean, it's the worst kept secret, but we know where the current location is in Chiswell Green. Which you said, you asked me a lot of questions when we first met about the new stadium.
We were virtually on top of it.
When we met the day before we actually agreed you coming on board. We talked about it and the difficulty about getting people there. Interestingly, our fan base is not all based around here. There's a lot of traffic, not a lot of traffic, but there's traffic around here at times, because people don't live on top of it. There are a number of people that do, but that's our job, or the transport consultant's job, about how do we get them there. So we may have to fund shuttles, or we may have to do deals where your ticket price includes a bus ticket, or these are the things that we're coming up with. But what we won't want to do is we want to make it as easy as possible,
of course we do,
for the supporters and people to get to the ground and enjoy it. as much as they do now. I mean, it is a challenge.
Yeah,
It is a real challenge, but it's a challenge that, I mean, if the club needs a new stadium, I mean, the problem with St Albans is it's a Roman city with a Victorian infrastructure. There's about 4 roads lead in and out of the city. There isn't available land within that can develop the facilities that we require going forward. So it has to be slightly out of town.
yeah.
It will be an AL postcode, by the way,
Good.
and a St Albans AL rather than a Harpenden or whatever. So
I guess what that also brings, Lawrence, if you look at the geography of St Albans and where the sporting hubs are in St Albans, we don't have a lot of sporting hubs on that side of St Albans. I know we've got Greenwood Park and things like that, but if we look at football clubs, sports clubs, venues for people to participate in sport, that part of St Albans is well behind the rest of St Albans. We look at from the city onwards towards Hatfield and that way, and there's a lot of facilities, football, rugby, cricket, whereas I guess now bringing the 2 AstroTurfs, the other pitches, the stadium, it's now broader in that it gives a little bit more accessibility to more parts of the city as well, which I think we haven't touched on yet, but again, bringing more sport to that side of the city.
New fan base, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. A new fan base, and you touched on that as well, didn't you?
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to lose. I genuinely want to lose
The old fan base.
the whole fan base. at all.
But they're the most important in all.
Yeah, they are. They are. They are, because they've been coming for years with their parents, and now, I mean, we've got such a community now. We have young kids, as you touched on. We want to keep that going, but it's our challenge, and it is a challenge. And actually, it's not only a challenge because we want to do it; it's a challenge because we have to do it for the planning process. And we're working on that planning process. We are working with the local authority and on a project to get to a planning application at the moment. So the reason that we are being more transparent and really opening up about what we're doing is because, as some of you know, we did present to the Chiswell Green Residents Association, which was, I mean, it's tough because they've had so much development. I mean, there's 1,000 or 750 houses going up in Chiswell Green, so it's tough for them. But that's why we want to work with them. We've had one engagement session. We need to do the next one, but the first thing is to really reach out to the fan base, which, without wanting to plug it, we will have that pop up, and we will want people to ask the questions. Come along with us.
Yeah.
Come along with that journey, and be involved in it as well, because actually this isn't my project, your project. This is a project for St Albans.
It's a journey for us all, isn't it?
And the benefits, I mean, part of the planning process, and we've got a policy that hopefully will go into the local plan, means that the benefits to the community are there in perpetuity. So we can't just build a stadium or get some planning and that. No, it's there forever. And that will be part of the rules that are put in place for us getting planning application as well. So it really does mean that there's the club, St Albans City Football Club, won't have to rely, as it's done for years and years, 50 years. I mean, this stadium project, I saw some minutes from the mid-70s where there was a discussion of a stadium relocation because of the need to do it. So it's not my idea to relocate the club. I'm just taking on the process because we feel there is a real need for the security of the football club going forward. So,
look, I think we're all in agreement that is the way forward for the football club. It's just now putting it all into motion and in the practice. And
so this is
and look, like you just said, I think any fans or anything that want to, it's going to be for the benefit of us. If there's any issues or any gripes or any despondency in regards to the planning, I think everyone needs to come forward, and we need to engage everyone in the journey.
And hopefully the people that are concerned will come up with some positive criticism and through the channels that we're looking to do, so we can answer.
So we can look for a solution if there is any on those.
Yeah. So that's the idea. This is why we've set up a website, and then there'll be an email address specifically for this, where people can ask the questions, and then those questions will be answered as well, because it's important that everyone is part of this process. I don't have all the answers now. I don't have, because we're still in that early stage. We've not gone to planning yet. It's certainly not a fait accompli. We've got to get the transport plan. We have to look at the site itself. There needs what they call. I mean, it costs money to build a stadium, so we have to look at the funding mechanism. Which
And how does that work? How is that being put together, Lawrence, in terms of the funding mechanism? Well,
that's a good question, because we're working with a developer who owns a big piece of land. Simply, they own a big piece of greenbelt land. And we approached them a number of years ago to see whether because of the community we do, whether it would work that they would help us build the stadium, and then and would they help fund it? And the idea is we call it it's called a cross-funding mechanism. So basically, what it means is I'm trying to call it in a layman's term. Basically, the cost of a stadium is funded by part of the profit from selling other parts of that land. So, for example, let's assume you sell, I don't know, 20 acres for a warehouse, or a lot of people use residential, but we're not going to be doing residential. They can sell that piece of land, and the profit they get from that funds the stadium. But because it's greenbelt, you need to have something. You need a very special circumstance. And the football club, with not only our community projects that we do today and the growth of the women's football, the most important thing is that what we will be able to do in the future with a new facility. So we have to describe all that. And therefore, we are, if you like, we can enable them to develop their land by them helping us by building a stadium. So the idea is that they will help fund the stadium. The stadium is funded, and then they have development on that site as well that funds it. That's how it works. And then they get their profit from it as well.
Okay.
Does that kind of make sense?
On that, Lawrence, and you used the word stadium there, and then we've previously mentioned the word of having a facility. What does that facility look like as a whole that benefits the community?
Yeah, so currently the design that's going through, we've got some architects on board. The design is going to be a stadium. Okay, not too dissimilar. I mean, with regards to this, we'll have a stadium that's fit for certainly up to the National League, League Two type of thing. So maybe one stand with seating, and then 3 terraces, similar to that, all covered, good concessions, and obviously toilet facilities. The stadium itself, in the main stand, will have changing rooms fit for women's football, men's football, and also youth as well, because there are certain rules and safeguarding rules that you need, and safeguarding rules with having a male manager and a female change room. So we have to look at that. Nowadays, referees, you need at least 2 changing rooms for referees, because you have mixed male and female referees nowadays, which is actually, we're not fit for purpose here. So there's a bit of changing here, a bit of changing there when we do have a female. And same with, I mean, it must be a nightmare for you sometimes about having to be changed, and then you address and all these different things. So it's a stadium fit for purpose. We mentioned training facilities that can be used for community use as well. So the idea is by the time we are there, or I don't know whether the women will be full-time then or whatever in a few years' time, but certainly the men will be training in mornings, and then in the afternoon, those training pitches are there for the community. So we've got schools, kids, academy. In that location, there aren't any 3G pitches. In fact, there's such a need for 3G pitches, and this will be all part of the plan. There'll be car parking as well. I would imagine electric charging points, although I'm we're going through the whole design at the moment. It's still early days. You can put the design together, but we've been working on the whole project. Before you can get to having a stadium, you've got to look at things like the ecology as well. So the environmental impact, that you've got to put a report in to make sure that you are not impacting the environment, or what you're doing with your biodiversity is that you're able to add things in.
So in talking in engagement, can the community and fan base request something that they would like to see that can be considered at development? At the stadium, which is again gets them engaged.
Well,
There
yeah,
be some input from them if they wanted to see something within the stadium or in the facility or in the, the community may request something that they would like to see.
Yeah,
with
like a
event.
little hub there or something. Yeah,
of
why
some
not? Why
description.
not? I mean, that's what this is all about. Is engaging everyone to say, look, how are we going to get there? Number one, or what about having, I don't know, a nursery there because we've got a lot of kids. So yes, I mean, that's what this is. This is the start
The process
of the process while we're in the design phase, so that it's not a fait accompli what we have. And actually,
it's important for everyone to engage. Is the point I'm making, and to have some input in where we're at with this.
yeah, because it is going to be a community stadium.
Exactly right. Yes,
It's our community stadium. I think the location is a great location, personally. And actually, we chose a location where there's an already bus route. And just on the location, one of the things that we had to do is a detailed alternative site plan. So I have, as I mentioned in a meeting with, I think, the Chiswell Green Residents Association, and also when we had our meeting with St Albans District Council, the members there, I think I've looked at every blade of grass in St Albans about where can we put a pitch, but more importantly, how do we deliver that pitch? It's all very well saying there's a great piece of land or what's wrong with Clarence, but how do we fund? And stadiums, they're not cheap things to build. Even a basic stadium, you're talking a lot of money to build a stadium. And nowadays, and with construction costs and planning costs and everything through the roof, we needed to have a developer that was prepared to fund based on their ability to generate their own revenues to fund the stadium. And it's hard to find that person. So we've done an alternative. This wasn't the only.
And a lot of credit needs to go, to yourself and the team for that. It's I've seen the sort of the outline of it, and it looks really exciting. It's really exciting, So
I mean, we want to make it exciting, but it was the realization is it is a necessity if the club doesn't want to have to keep relying on people just putting money in without generating any money. Football is an expensive business, but the benefits that you can give back to that community far outweigh. I mean, what you're doing today, Charlie, is nothing compared with what you're going to be able to do tomorrow, not only because of the facilities, but the income generation from those facilities is going to be, I mean, we won't solve the problems of the world, but we'll be able to do a lot more than we do now.
No, I totally agree. I think you and I have had conversations several times, as I have with the directors of the foundation, in this, how can we positively impact the community and the different groups associated within our community? And the big barrier for us is resources. It's having a facility at a time of day that meets the needs for the groups that we're looking to work with. So I'll use walking football as a great example. We have 19 players consistently turning up in all weather on a Monday evening to participate in our walking football, which is brilliant numbers and something we're really proud of. But if you generally look at retirement age, usually their active part of the day is usually looking at that kind of early afternoon, late morning schedule. The facility allows us to start looking and providing more opportunities for our groups and then growing them further.
And it'll be our own facility, which is the important.
Exactly right.
We'll own it. So we're a destination. Yeah. We'll be in charge of our own destination. I mean,
So with the pop-up event that's coming up on the 27th, who's going to be there? Who's going to be around to engage with the fans, to listen, to explain more about what's going on?
so we're working on who's going to be on that pop-up. I'm going to be around. And there'll be other people. What we're going to do is there'll be a couple of people from the planning team there because they're au fait with what we're doing and why we're doing it. So just on that so I'll be there. We don't know where, depending on the weather, it might be up here in the clubhouse. It could be downstairs within the ground. And we're looking to give out information so people know a little bit more about what the whole plan is. But that's the other thing. I mean, I think that one of the things we came up with an idea is having a like a fan advisory panel as well. So there's 3 or 4 people that would be, I don't know, 3 or 4 people or 5 or 6 people or something that are from different sections of our fan base that could be part of that fan advisory panel. So they can be involved in it. And I mean, we have a supporters trust as doing normal sort of fan engagement that we work with. But I think it'd be a good idea to have a fan specifically for this, a fan advisory panel, and things can be channeled through them where they come back and say, well, what about having a toilet there and a toilet there, for example, or these sorts of concessions, and actually St Albans likes this. So would it be possible to put this in the stadium and that kind of thing?
Right there, yeah.
So I think that fan advisory panel is can get involved, and they can maybe even run the surveys, or will run surveys alongside them to get people. So this isn't just a one-off podcast now. I think our other podcast will be an update on how we're going, and it might be different people. It might not even be me necessarily. It's not. This isn't the kind of Larry and Gary show or the Lawrence and whatever show. This is about getting everyone involved, because it is an important part. I mean, football's the biggest sport in the world. It engages every part of a community. It's not elitist. Football is, in my view, the one sport that engages everyone, and it's a real leveler. Football.
Yeah, all ages.
All ages.
All genders, everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
It's so important for the wider community. It's not elitist. Anyone can have a ball and kick a ball around. So it's about, this is important, bringing people together. So in answer to your question, yeah, I'll be there at the pop-up at times, but it will be manned by people that have information and knowledge. So
well worth attending and coming down to.
I think so. I mean, I think it is, and we've chosen that. I don't know what it's going to be like this year because we don't have a Boxing Day game, which we always had. So it's the Saturday after Boxing Day, but generally our Christmas fixtures are well attended. So we chose that one really to maximise the people that would come down and want to know a little bit about it. The point is just to really, it's really important that we start this process now. We've met with the Chiswell Green Residents Association. We've met with the members, the planning department, and as I said, we're working with them. There's positivity. There's lots of things we still need to do. So there's no work. We've got a lot of work to do between now and a planning application going in.
I think it's encouraging the community and the fans to come on the ride, isn't it? It's encouraging them to, as you said earlier, we don't have all the answers. This is an ongoing process. It's an ongoing process for a positive outcome and to get involved in it and ask questions, because the more they ask of us, the better the planning process and the processes that you're putting in place can be.
We're stronger together, are we not, on this journey? So everyone needs to get involved in it.
Well, it has to happen for the, as I said, for the long-term sustainability and the ability for the club to grow as well, because it can't grow here, and there's nothing here for it to grow. I mean, as I said, the romance of it is great, but for the longevity,
such a respected name within non-league football. I think you've touched on it. The football club with the city of the population there should be, be closer to to the football league than it maybe is. I know they've been National League, but this is a name that needs to have longevity. This is a football club that needs a future, and this definitely is the future.